Hello, everybody, and welcome to Goddess and Energy Coming Alive. I am your host, Yukiko Amaya, and I'm so glad that you're here. I am speaking with you from the very edge of the Blue Ridge Mountains, close to the Shenandoah Valley, or overlooking the Shenandoah Valley in Northern Virginia, the traditional lands of the Manahoac people of the Monacan Confederacy in the Sioux Nation. So say hello, please. If you are tuning in, listening in, please say hello and where you're saying hello from. And if you do know which traditional lands you are on, add that in as well. So today we'll be talking about the energy of money, which is a very practical and very real energy that we have. It's man-created or woman-created. Who knows, I think in the goddess cultures that there is a speculation, if you like, or an understanding that perhaps the first writings that come out of Sumeria in the Mesopotamia region was actually invented by women, since in the goddess cultures, the women were the ones who kept the economy running. And so they needed to know how much wheat was coming in. They had all the finances of the temple because women were the ones in the matrilineal cultures who would inherit and who would also steward and take care of all of the finances, if you like, or the economy of that area. It's something that's being really studied and thought about ever since women started to come into the field of archaeology. So it's something to really think about. And I think as women, we tend to feel oftentimes left outside of the economy, which is also a truth, since in the patriarchal cultures that developed in the past 5,000-6,000 years or so, it's true that a lot of the powers were taken away from the woman. And it's only in very recent times that women have been able to make a living and to be able to build up their own stability and foundation financially. In some cultures, in other cultures, that's still not a possibility. And money as an energy, it's a very difficult thing for many of us, especially connected to the more creative arts or to the spiritual arts, have a hard time grappling with. Part of, I feel, is because there was this whole teaching that came through the patriarchal, especially the Christian church, of poverty, that if you are going to do something spiritual, that you have to take the vow of poverty. And yet when you look at the whole church, the churches were incredibly wealthy. So the vow of poverty, that if you are doing something meaningful for the community, that it should not be financially remunerated. Oh, well, English is my second language. Anyway, is something to put into question, So today I'm very excited to introduce to you my guest is Susan Shloss of Money Wisdom. She's a Money Wisdom coaching. She's a certified money coach, and she's passionate about facilitating breakthroughs in her clients' relationship with money. By combining practical financial expertise with intuitive inspiration, she guides her clients to ground the spiritual into the material, opening the door to greater prosperity on all levels. With more than 20 years in the financial services industry, Susan has worked as an investment specialist and operations manager. at Charles Schwab and built a 6-figure bookkeeping business. She's committed to doing her part to change the system of dominance and oppression to one of equity and inclusion. Susan offers powerful tools that create deep shifts in a supportive environment of compassion and respect. She aspires to facilitate transformation for all who struggle with money. Susan's music therapy degree also informs her work as a coach and musician, providing sound healing with violin to enhance the experience of her audience and her clients. She brings her longtime study of energy healing, body work, yoga, and a lifelong meditation practice to support her clients in the self-care at the foundation of an abundant life. Okay, so let's welcome Susan. Hi, Susan. Welcome.
Hi, Yukiko. Thank you so much for having me today.
Oh, you're so welcome. This is, it's such a huge subject, money. But I first wanted to ask you, because it feels like you have also this interest in the spiritual and embodiment, which makes me think of the divine feminine. Were you were you comfortable with the material world as you were growing up? Or were you like more in the imaginal world? What was it like for you when you were younger?
Well, I was always a spiritual person from a young age and very creative person. So that was really the path that I expected to be on. And ending up in the money field was surprising. But it's been really beautiful to combine the two. And, I'm super connected to nature and music, meditation from a very young age. So I love the way that the two come together.
And how did you get into the financial? Because that feels like such a huge leap from the creative spiritual, for many people, I think, to having done work for Charles Schwab and bookkeeping and all of this. So how did that happen?
Well, I was in the mental health field and working with people in different, institutional settings. And so I got burnt out with that. And I just took a break and did some temping. And then a friend invited me to work with her. I learned about the loan business. Another friend invited me to work with her in the accounting world, and it was real estate accounting. And so I got a grounding in that, and I was able then to gradually move into the bookkeeping from that. I just discovered that I had a mind that was organized and loved the processes and loved problem solving. And, as a musician, a lot of those skills have to be there as well. Wow. So there's definitely the mathematical side of music too.
Yeah.
So that was a way that I could have a business that gave me a lot of flexibility.
So from there, maybe, we can jump right in, and if you can talk to us a little bit about what is, money wisdom coaching. Is it a specific pathway of working with money? Is it, what is money wisdom coaching?
We bring that word wisdom into the whole money experience and conversation. So that's where the intuition connects with the practical. It's where the spiritual connects with the practical. And the path that I take people on uses the 8 money archetypes that I learned from my certification program with Deborah Price at the Money Coaching Institute. And those money types bring the energetic qualities. They shine light on the different energetic qualities that you might have in your money relationships. So if you're
Can you
someone
an example?
yeah, if you're someone
Okay.
who is head in the sand with money, like it's just so anxiety provoking, you want to avoid it, that's the money innocent. And for people who may have impulsivity with money and, it's just live for today, I want this thing and I got to have it now, or just using money to relieve stress, that's the money fool. And the ones we want to be cultivating are the magician and the warrior, so that you're bringing, and that's where the spiritual and the material start to get balanced with each other.
In working with your clients, because I was thinking about when I was working with a spiritual financial advisor when I lived in Santa Fe, and he said to me that in the spiritual realm, that on one level, money, the energy of money, was the most complex to work with, and that once you've come to a certain place in your evolution and self-acceptance energetically, that was when the rubber meets the road, is how you engage with the energy of money. And it made me think about this book, Daniel Odier's Tantric Quest. And when he goes to India and meets his tantric teacher, who is a woman who lives in the forest, and she teaches him all the different spiritual, energetic maneuvers. He has to stand still at the edge of a cliff for an entire day and really quieten his energetic fields and be able to do all these different things. And then she throws him into the marketplace. And she says, you might be fine standing on the edge of a cliff by yourself, but if you can't utilize all of the openness and the capacity as a spiritual being in the center of the marketplace, then what's the use and what's the point? And I just kind of thought about that with this, meeting of how do we meet money as an energy? Yeah.
What a great story and illustration of how challenging it is, really, to bring our spirituality and money together. And money is an energy. And to get to that realization and experience takes wading through all these blocks and impressions and imprints that we have from living in the culture that we live in. So yeah, it's often the final frontier for people. The people I work with have done a ton of work, and this area can be like the one area that's still really challenging for people to find peace around. So it's not really about how much money we have. It's more about, can we be open to the flow? Can we be okay regardless of where the cash flow might be? And then, can we also just be engaged and jump in and take responsibility?
Yeah, it's, there's so much in society that says to be successful, if you are successful, then they immediately look at how much money you're making. That's success, and how much money you're making are tied together. And you look at the very worrying trend of how money is used as a power to control. You look at the whole credit card industry, and as some people say, is a new system of enslavement. And so when we're dealing with money, energy like that, it's almost like dealing with the marketplace, where there's so many different people with so many different stories and energies, that it feels like money carries that it carries the history and the usage and how it's being manipulated by so many people. And then as you face it, it's how are we able to, and I guess that's where the warrior comes in, right? And the magician. In your coaching, how do you lead the people from a place of innocence or powerlessness or anger, despair, to find that? It's maybe you have some stories that you might be able to share with us of certain progressions that you have witnessed, or how people have come to terms with money.
Yeah, we have to excavate those neurological imprints from childhood. So that's what I find, is that, yeah, there can be cultural imprints, but really it's what we inherited in the environment that we grew up in. And so, okay, one of my clients who grew up with a father who's a minister, and she's just got such kindness and generosity, and that was instilled in her in that environment. And there's guilt around having money. And there's overgiving. She's having to find her boundaries around what's okay to give and what needs to be, delineated for the things that she needs and wants. So healing that history and coming into her own sense of self-worth. That's the journey for most of us, is really, really seeing where we got that inheritance of lack of self-worth and disowning what we don't want. And then another client who grew up in a household where the parents fought constantly about money. So for her, money was this thing. It's like, I don't want that. And the idea of saving, why would you want to collect this?
Right. This source of anguish and conflict.
Exactly.
Right.
So she actually went through a whole thing. We were meeting in person when we were all meeting in person. And she just was like on the floor, kind of rolling and having this whole somatic experience of releasing that feeling of money being bad, and was able to really connect with it. And it's just made a really big difference in her marriage too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think there's a very high percentage of divorces that are rooted in a disagreement over how to work with money.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
And I love working with couples, because once people see where it all came from, they start to really feel, compassion for that person and their patterns. When people have opposite patterns, it's really can create that conflict.
And it's really fascinating, because we're talking about conflicts that can show up in so many different things in our life. But when you're working with money, there's a real concrete, it's very concrete on one level. It's energy, but there's a manifestation of it, right? One of the questions that I heard from this person, a friend and a client who is really, really amazingly creative and has a lot to offer. And she was struggling with basically the whole way of conceiving a business. right? And
Mm.
so she was able um, to conceive a business that was very successful, but it completely burnt her out because of
Mm.
the way that the coaching system came in for her at the time. It was much more of um, on a spiritual level, but she didn't quite get the handle on the material level. And then she worked with somebody else who said, "Oh no, I'm going to show you." And they wrote out the business, um, the white, not the white paper, but the business plan, and had all the money and everything. It was all numbers, but it was too dry. And how can the two come together? So
Mhm.
do you offer both things?
Yes, I do. And as
Okay.
people work with me, we definitely move into the numbers and get clarity on what you need each month, where your spending needs to be tweaked, create a plan for you, plan for saving, and get really grounded in all that. And people have a lot of resistance to it sometimes, but once they get into it, it's so grounding, it's so healing. And the money tells the story of where our values are, and it's deep exploration. And then to balance out that kind of mental and more masculine way of being with money, we look at some spiritual principles that I bring in around surrender, around service, around humility, so that you're not attached to the results in your business.
Mm.
We can have a plan, we can have goals. And then there's also the surrender and holding that posture of being of service that gives it meaning. And then there's less of a roller coaster ride with it.
I remember this abundance coach one time saying that with the energy of abundance, that um, her teaching was about tithing,
Mm.
to give, I forget the percentage. I think there was a certain percentage of what you earn
Mhm.
to give out, even if it's just $20, you give $2, and but that you always tithe to a person or a cause that you feel is really something that you want to see more of. Is that something also that you look at, or?
I don't bring that particular element in at this point. That could always change. But as people get a handle on cash flow and
Mhm.
saving, I definitely support people in spending in alignment with their values and giving in alignment with their values. And for me, that's personally been so gratifying to, like in the past year, really setting up my monthly donations to organizations that are fighting racism, that are helping create policies, that are creating equity and inclusion. And that just feels really good to know that my money is going to these places that are helping to create the world that I want to be in and create.
Right. No, that's very empowering, because I think one of the issues that many people have around money is this fear that if you start to make a lot of money, somehow it will corrupt you or change you,
Yeah.
um, because you see that in the people who have become hugely moneyed or successful in a business, and somehow
Mhm.
the personality starts to shift. And how do you feel about that, or if people have brought that up for you?
Yeah, there's that fear of money being bad, and or that belief and that experience of greed in our world. So that's why it's important as part of your vision to know what you want to do with your wealth. You can do an exercise. If I won the lottery, how much would it be? And what would I do with that money?
Mm.
So that's where you can start to create that new imprint of, okay, this gives me the ability to have influence in the world in a way that feels really delicious for me, that feels really,
Right.
in alignment.
You know, I feel like one of the things that I really went for when I started to build my business, because I always had this relationship with money as it being an energy, but I didn't give it any kind of. It was just energy, and I wasn't careless, but I didn't really care about that energy. But I would. I was always very good with it, in a way, because I understood the practical side of it, that I needed to have a certain kind of money to be able to have my independence. I became financially independent when I was 16, so that my parents wouldn't tell me what I needed to or where I needed to go. And I paid my way
Powerful.
through school. And it was so I associated my freedom with my capacity to have financial freedom. And but it was, I never really liked or respected that the energy, and I felt like that was something that might be something to bring in, because when you spoke about the archetype of the magician and the warrior, in doing martial arts, you have to respect the energy that's coming towards you, in order to work with it. As a magician, because I do a lot of priestessing and energy work, that you are always in relationship, and in relationship that is respectful of what you are working with and facing. And so I'm wondering about that now, with your working around money, does that make sense? Or is that, yeah?
Yeah, I love that whole exploration and question. When you have a relationship with money where I've got to make this much, and this is how I get my freedom, and so I'm going to work and make money. That's the money tyrant, that kind of where it's based in sort of a fear of other people controlling me if I don't have it, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we bring the money magician in, and that spiritual element, you can start to experience money as the energy of love. It's a loving energy, and it's a beautiful energy. Just thinking about the goddess Lakshmi and what she conveys and represents is this beautiful loving energy that can be open to giving, open to receiving, and it's a flow. And she also is about beauty, so bringing that into,
Wow.
yeah.
That's great. That's a great segue. And I never really thought ever actually about money as being a loving energy. And so out of Kali, Saraswati, and Lakshmi, Lakshmi was the one that I had the most difficulty with, even though I'm very much, I really feel that aliveness and beauty and truth are interchangeable, almost. But
Yeah, I have to tell you, I'm getting chills, because you had this little shift right there, and that's beautiful.
yeah, and so I know that in our conversations before, you told me about your deep connection with Lakshmi, and would you like to, maybe this is a good place for you to bring that energy in for us.
Yeah. Do you want to do a quick little meditation?
Sure.
Okay,
Okay.
let's
Yes.
do that. So just
Okay.
invite you, if you're watching now or later, to find a quiet space and feel your connection to earth, get grounded, and find your breath. And then, if you'd like, you can take your right hand up so it's facing forward, and your left hand can be just facing the sky. And you can feel the energy coming in through the left hand, moving through your heart, and then shining out through the right hand. And that cycle of energy, as if you yourself are the goddess Lakshmi, allowing that flow of abundance to come in, move through your heart space, and shine out, spreading that beauty, that love, that abundance. And just feeling that beautiful flow and that loving vibration that includes money, that includes the material world, that includes the spiritual world. And then take a breath and come on back when you're ready.
Oh, thank you, Susan. Yeah, I really feel her energy. And it's a really powerful and beautiful way also of shifting, the consciousness of humanity right now is in a pretty troubled place with all the greed and the fear, the scarcity, the mentality of scarcity at the foundation, I feel like, of everything, of needing to control, to use, to appropriate, and then throw out the waste without really much regard for other lives, whether it's human or animal or nature. And to work with Lakshmi, or the goddess of abundance, that you might feel pulled to, and that might be even a nature spirit, but to work in that way is really powerful. And then I'm now getting like chills thinking about the work with money as being that in that capacity of almost blessing the money that comes through you, that you put out into the world, to carry that energy of change, so that when whether it's because we exchange money for buying our groceries, or paying for electricity as well, we don't see it anymore. It's literally energy, isn't it? Because it's with credit cards and everything else, right? But that we take we receive the flow, and it's like alchemy, changing it in from lead to gold, something that is beneficial and beautiful to flow out. That would be really something.
It's a beautiful intention. Absolutely. And likewise, in our spending choices, we're having a huge impact, not just with donations, but with the car you drive, with, here in where I live in Marin County, California, we have an option for clean energy. And And so my utility bill is being used for wind energy 100%.
Right. Right. Yeah, no, that's great. And where we are, we're able to buy through our electric co-op. We're able to, if we want, and it's a little bit more expensive, but to shift over our payments to the solar farms, so
Yes.
that we, and that also that place of choice comes also with having a certain ease around money, doesn't it? Because when we're going from hand to mouth, there isn't that, when we're in a survival mode, it's really difficult to make or create choices of how we would like to influence the world around us and our loved ones. Yeah.
Yeah, life is very small, and that's how I lived for many years, keeping my life very small like that and very few options.
Mm-hmm.
So yes,
Yeah.
as self-worth grows and abundance grows, there are lots of choices and ways that we can influence with our money, and it's really powerful.
You know, and for those of you watching, if you have any questions that you would like to, or if you have any experiences that you have around money that you would like to share, please put it into the comments box. It's a, it's a big subject, and it's also a daily. It's in our everyday lives. It's in every part of our lives. This energy of money, and I know that some of us have tried to go around that by doing trades, by trading one thing to another, so that we don't touch the energy of money, um, and that's also wonderful. And at the same time, the reality of most of us is that in some way or another, we need to come into a relationship with money. And so why not make it into something that is life enhancing, life giving, and shifting the energy that money carries, or the tyranny of money, as Susan was saying, that money has over us, to find that true place of freedom. Um, is a really powerful maneuver, powerful magical goddess maneuver in a way. Yeah.
Yeah, I love the way you put that. It's beautiful.
And so, I'm wondering if because it's really curious that here we have, you who is a money coach, and also very spiritual, and also that you are a musician, um, and that you work with the violin. So I, I was wondering if you would like to I would love to be able to experience what it feels like to receive this sound healing.
Mm-hmm.
And before you do that, tell me, in what kinds of situations do you use the violin to help your clients?
I use it to enhance getting in touch with emotions, which is really crucial for us to be letting our emotions flow, to keep the channels open. And violin is such a voice of emotion. So it's really powerful for that. And so I'll use it in my group program sometimes to end a session and just help everyone, go inside. And it's a meditative tool. And sometimes I'll use it when I'm doing webinars as well. I've used it for ritual. I've done prosperity invocations and brought it in for people during journaling. So it creates an environment.
Lovely. And
Mm.
you know, um, So when you call, because right now we're in the season of, we're heading towards a season in the European indigenous practice of the wheel of the year. We're heading towards Lamas, and which is August 1st, which was when the first grains would be harvested for the year. And the grains would be the foundation of nutrition, right? For from Neolithic times, when people started to cultivate, take the wild grains and then start to cultivate it. That's the foundation of civilizations, because people stopped being nomads, or the nomadic life of hunting and gathering, but slowly they could build towns and temples and start to create a more, in a way, a more sedentary life, you know. So and the different spiritual practices could really explode. And so right now, it's Lamas is right between the summer solstice and the fall equinox, so around August 1st. And it's also the celebration of the Great Mother and the great goddess of abundance and prosperity and generosity. So, you know, so in the Indian tradition, we have Lakshmi, and in the Greek tradition, we have Demeter, you know, the grain goddess, or we have the corn maidens of the Americas, where corn was really crucial and critical to existence. We have in Bali, where rice was really important, the goddess Shri, and also in the Celtic lands, Ker, you know, kernel, the kernel of corn. That's where, or Ceres, the goddess of cereal, the Roman goddess, also comes from that. And so it's a really a wonderful time to start to open ourselves to this energy of abundance. And it's not only, as you said, you know, it's not only about money, but it's on all levels. This sense of abundance, that we do not live in a world of scarcity, that it only happens when we close down. And so it's you know, it's really wonderful to be able to have this conversation with you at this time, because it really feels like it's a time to remember, to remind ourselves when we look outside, that the amazing abundance of nature. And you know, and before you do the music, I was wondering, when you talk about your prosperity ritual, what kind of things do you bring in? It's
I invite people to set their intentions. And so I did this as part of the Feminine Frequency Festival. I think that's maybe where I first. Do you know about that?
No,
Anyway,
Feminine Frequency Festival?
you've got to know
That sounds
about it.
amazing.
It's on Facebook. It's a space on Facebook. And Jessica Hadari, who I'm in her coaching program, puts this on a couple times a year. So it's a really potent space where women can bring creativity in. And actually, it inspired me to bring my violin in for the first time and do a ritual. She said, go outside your usual box. So it's like, okay. And that was a huge vibration shift for me to do that. So I had people write their intentions, look at what might be in the way. I brought violin into it. I brought the goddess Oshun into it.
Okay. Yes.
It's from the Yoruba tradition.
Yeah.
And we had some meditation, and yeah, it was really, really powerful. I'll put the link to that in the comments for people if they want to do that ritual. It's available.
Oh, great. Yes, I think that would be wonderful. And Yes. So there's, oh, hi there, Jennifer. Jennifer is on. This is so cool. Feminine frequency. Love it. Yeah. Jennifer is also a musician, an amazing musician. And she does crystal bowl healings, and she's been working with horses.
Oh, wow.
To bring healing.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So that frequency and that abundance, and I'm sure that abundance has a certain frequency, because the energy and the emotion around abundance, like if we were to just sort of soften and relax and call in to experience, just like when we were experiencing the energy of Lakshmi, to call in the energy of the goddess of abundance, and to sense and open to that frequency in nature, to bring that in. And perhaps before you play the violin, Susan, I might invite the people who are watching to either write or to call in the intent. What is your intent for bringing in more abundance, and for this session for more financial abundance and ease? Set your intent. And in terms of intent, Susan, I've often heard that, for example, when you're talking about money, that you need to put an exact number to it. Is that true? Is that something that you find is more useful, rather than vaguely going, I want to be more abundant? Is it better to have a certain kind of...
It's good to work with the numbers, for sure. It's good to have the numbers. Yes.
Yeah.
Just don't be attached to it.
Right. Okay. So just right now, receive the number.
Yeah, exactly.
That feels good to you, for, that you would like to be able to have flow in every month. Just call that in, something that would give you ease, and creative ease, spiritual ease, financial, emotional ease into your life. What would that number be? Don't think about it. Just receive it. And good. Okay. And then Susan is going to help us integrate that energy in with her music. Beautiful. Letting the frequency work in all the waters of your body. Okay. the waters of your body responds to frequency. Beautiful. Wow. So, Susan, if people want to work with you or find out more of what you're doing, how would they go about doing that?
You can visit my website, and I have a money type quiz, and I'm very happy to get together with you and look at your quiz results and talk about what's up for you right now with money, what's really pressing for you right now, and how would you like to shift, and look at what are some little steps that you can take right away to start to make some shifts in the direction you want to be going in. So I invite you to do that, and the scheduling link and the Money Type quiz link are in the chat, in the comment section. So,
yes. Wonderful. Okay, and we have Jennifer again saying, beautiful, thank you for this gift. And Jay, hi Jay Young, that was beautiful, thank you. This is definitely what I needed today. I'll be contacting Susan for help and support with my money mindset. So yeah, that's great to and thank you so much for coming in and chatting with me. And people, if you have questions, please put it in the comments box. And so those of you who are also in the energy of doing ritual work as well, to start to shift certain energies around your sense of abundance and prosperity, your sense of belonging, and your self-worth, which are all things that are tied up into abundance. Having gratitude is a beautiful practice to start to bring in as well. And the full moon, I invite you also to check out the full moon in Aquarius that's coming on Friday. And so the full moon ritual that I create is now available. And if you can go to the links, so Noellen, if you can put the full buck moon ritual link in the comments box, that's great. And so with the full moon ritual, you'll be doing it yourself at your own pace with the recorded rituals. And then August 2nd, I'll be doing the ritual for Lamas, for bringing in the great mother goddess. Think about your mother line, all the way back to the original mother, and all of the things that you have received through the mothers. And some of us have had difficult relationships with our mother. And in a way, how that may have created the impetus for you to create another way into life. So there's always a wealth and a richness that comes through in very different ways through the mother line. And, we'll be doing movement and journeying to meet the mother goddess in Avalon. So join me for that. And that link is also in the comment box.
That sounds beautiful. I'm definitely going to join you for that.
Yeah, it's, we bring in, the color for Lamas is yellow or gold, So this color of the ripe grains in the field, and the color of the sun's rays that's coming in, that's still nurturing the earth. So yeah, gold and yellow. And is there anything that you would like to add, Susan, to help people with how they're connecting around their money energy, or their connection with prosperity, generosity, abundance, all that?
I'm glad you brought the gratitude practice into it. That's really key. And the one thing I'd like to end with is that self-care is the foundation of your prosperity. And it's that day-to-day, moment-to-moment, being in touch with what does the body need? What does the mind need? How can I stay relaxed in my life, in my work, in my planning, in my relationships, so that I can be open to receiving? So doing impeccable self-care is what I want to leave you with as the foundation for your prosperity path.
Yes, that's big. That's really big. And I think, even though we understand it, it doesn't mean that we actually practice that, do we?
It's a practice for sure.
It is a practice. Yeah, it's a powerful practice. So if there are no more questions, any questions? No questions? No questions, no more comments? Okay. All right. Well, so we leave you today with that gratitude, deep gratitude. The gratitude practice is powerful. It was one of the practices that Don Miguel Ruiz, the shaman I worked with, put us on, that you have to. We spent one day, I remember traveling to Peru with him and a group of his students. And it was one day we spent the entire day just saying thank you to everything, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because we tend to blame a lot. We tend to blame, others, ourselves, but there tends to always be a blame around how things don't work, so that the thank you can be also for the things that in your mind is not working. Like, somebody who's really nasty at you, with you, going, you don't know what lessons are there. You don't know what kind of day that person had. So not taking things personally, to be able to go, well, thank you that this, person dropped into my path. And even though they were nasty, I was able to say, stop, or I was able to go, hope you're having a good day, or, whatever it is, just be thankful the entire day, be creative and see what happens. It's quite a practice.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Susan.
Thank you, Yukiko. Such a pleasure to be with you.
Yeah. Thank you.